We're like oblivious to what's going on.
No. I agree, and I'm not smart enough to know what to do about it. I don't know how different we are from other. Look at these empty seats. No producer would take this film. No distributor would take this film. Landmark Theaters rolled it out. They showed it, for example, in Chicago, where Claudia came to see the movie. I didn't realize that till she just said it. And I would do a Q&A after the movie, and I mean the place would be jammed. Ellen and I did a Q&A following the screening. People were in the aisles. I thought I was Fellini. And the next night there'd be 6 people in the theater. We didn't have the money that full-page ads. Hollywood spends more to promote the film than they do on the film. We just don't want to hear bad news. And it's interesting that the British Parliament said no to Cameron, who wanted to go to Assad from Syria. And if there's any ray of light coming from the graves of these people who died needlessly, it is the light on the absurdity of firing cruise missiles, which would certainly kill children, to teach Assad a lesson that he shouldn't kill children. And the way we camouflage the pain. Our soldiers don't die; they fall. They're fallen. The deification of the troops. Oh, the wonderful troops, the brave troops. That's guilt speaking. We know we shouldn't have sent them. And they're wonderful and they're brave and they're the best and they're the brightest. And these wonderful, brave soldiers come home and the VA doesn't call them back. We are awash in pretense. Andrew Basovich is a graduate of West Point, and he just wrote a book. You may be familiar with it. It's called Breach of Trust. And he's a West Pointer. And he's talking about, if you look in the rearview mirror, nothing has worked. If Vietnam was a failure, certainly we bombed Grenada. Grenada. And I asked him, he has in his book, the Boston Red Sox in a game at Fenway Park had a big flag over the green monster, the wall in left field at Fenway. And on the screen, big screen above it, appeared a young Bostonian female sailor who was on an aircraft carrier. And the family was at home plate, able to wave. This was before the game. And then suddenly she appears for real from out behind the flag and starts running toward her family, and they run toward her, and you'd have to be a stone not to cry. And he criticized this. And I said, what's wrong with this? He said, this is what Dietrich Bonhoeffer would call false grace. It's an effort to make ourselves feel good. And immediately after this wonderful emotional reunion live right there in front of, how many they seat? 40,000 people. They're back to the hot dogs and the ham and the beer, and it's over. And we've made ourselves feel good. But what does it do? And by the way, in many ways, it's an endorsement for war. The things that conspire for war, I mean, it's just amazing to me. You don't get a statue in a park for fixing healthcare. It's glory. Presidents get glory for going to war. And media, corporate media especially, gets pilloried if they don't support war. So being against the war, I don't know, in 2002 was not good for business. And that's what you get with corporate media. Corporate media is ruining democracy. There's a group of young people, it's called Media Reform. And they're all out there making this point. If a president wants a war, he can have one. And the result is we spend, by the way, $1 billion, $2 billion a day on things that go boom. $2 billion, you can do the math. A day. You know, if you give a president a cruise missile, he will fire it. You know, that's why we have become a militaristic, a warrior nation. And our young people, my grandchildren, are more likely to be conscripted than a kid in any other developed country. Nobody likes us. We are deploying the most cowardly instrument in the history of war, drones. A guy sits in a padded chair 4,000 miles away, looks at a screen, says, there they are, fires an incendiary device. I think it's a Hellfire missile. And we are killing children. And we are pretending that this is making us safer. It's absurd on its face. I mean,